I honestly cannot believe that in 2025, we're still pretending movies like Bugonia are anything but repackaged misogyny dressed up as avant-garde brilliance. Anyone calling this subversive or thought-provoking has clearly confused cruelty for commentary. And if you sat through the whole thing thinking you were watching an edgy feminist allegory, congratulations, you've fallen for the oldest trick in the patriarchal art house playbook: abusing a woman, then calling it metaphor. Let's not mince words. Bugonia is about a woman being abducted, imprisoned, humiliated, and stripped, literally and figuratively, of her autonomy. Her head is shaved, her body is smeared with creams, her mind is broken down through psychological torment masquerading as symbolism. And all the while, audiences are meant to nod sagely and murmur about late capitalist decay and human detachment. Number. What we're watching is a woman's suffering turned into aesthetic furniture for a director too enamored with his own cleverness to realize how outdated his vision is. The head-shaving scene should have been the point where everyone walked out. It's not art, it's a fetishization of female submission. Every strand of hair stripped away becomes another moment of voyeuristic triumph for a filmmaker who wants the credit for empathy without doing the work of understanding it. And what's worse, the audience sits there complicit, reassuring themselves that this degradation is somehow progressive, as though misogyny becomes acceptable once you light it with a tasteful spotlight and pipe in classical music. It's 2025. Women's bodies, pain, and trauma are not props for pseudo-intellectual men to play with. We've had decades of this. Films where female agony is used as shorthand for profundity. But now it's being rebranded as post-woke art, as though moral regression were suddenly chic again. There's something grotesque about watching Bugonia in a world where real women are still abducted, still trafficked, still silenced, and being told this cinematic cruelty is essential viewing. I suppose that's what happens when empathy becomes performance art. I left halfway through, not out of boredom but out of disgust. I couldn't watch another second of a film profiting from a woman's humiliation. I walked straight to the front desk and asked the cinema staff how they could, in good conscience, sell tickets to something so ethically bankrupt. They blinked, smiled awkwardly, and muttered something about artistic freedom. Right. Freedom for whom? Certainly not for the woman at the center of the story, reduced to a symbol of suffering so the director can pat himself on the back for being edgy. The defenders will say, it's satire. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. But discomfort isn't a moral defense when it's built on the bones of other people's pain. Satire requires clarity of purpose. Bugonia has none. It flirts with feminism, but delivers sadism. It toys with irony, but lands squarely in exploitation. And the worst part? It wants applause for its cruelty. If you think this is some kind of feminist parable, ask yourself, who gets to speak in Bugonia? Who holds the power? Who writes the rules? Who decides the limits of pain? It's not the woman. It never is. She's the object, the lesson, the metaphor. Everything but a person. The men debate, philosophize, moralize. She endures. That's not progress. That's patriarchy in a pretentious suit. I find it frankly disturbing that we keep calling films like this important. Important to whom? Certainly not to survivors of abuse, or to women who've endured real-world versions of this nightmare. Think of the women who've been abducted, trafficked, controlled, women whose stories are still unfolding, not in art house cinemas, but in the margins of society. Their pain doesn't end with end credits or a round of applause. Yet here we are, treating their reality as allegory. If this is the future of cinema, where the suffering of women is packaged as intellectual exercise, then count me out. We don't need another male auteur torturing his female characters to make a point about power. We don't need another hollow satire pretending to critique the very systems it reinforces. We need art that dismantles oppression, not art that aestheticizes it. So yes, I'll say it. Bugonia isn't woke enough. It isn't revolutionary. It's retrograde. It's what happens when filmmakers mistake moral detachment for depth. And to anyone calling it a masterpiece, Look closer. You're not witnessing enlightenment. You're watching complacency in high definition. In the end, Bugonia doesn't challenge anything. It indulges everything. It's a mirror for those who want to feel intelligent while ignoring the humanity of the woman reflected in it. The only thing this film exposes is our culture's willingness to turn female suffering into spectacle, again and again, as though we've learned nothing.